You are watching 2+U Nevada and continuing our series on reverse mortgages. We have Tom McDonald here with Mutual of Omaha Mortgage. Tom, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I'm so excited that you're here. Now, you are bringing forward an actual real strategy for reverse mortgages that have been written about by this PhD, Dr. Wade Pfau.
Right. He focuses on helping people learn how to manage their retirement plan so that it lasts as long as they live.
Right. And honestly, we hope after we retire, whether that be in our mid-60s or early 70s, that we have a good 30 years.
Well, with longevity now, I'm aiming for another 50 myself.
Good for you. Good for you. That's what I would hope for.
Well, then we'll see what happens when we get there.
But, and with that, I mean, we really have to consider when it comes to retirement, okay, decades of need, changing prices, inflation that we have to consider when we're on a fixed income.
Right.
And folks at home, if they own their home, are sitting on a real asset.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what's Dr. Pfau say?
Well, he's saying that we need a buffer asset. And most people who have investments in the market have some sort of a buffer asset so that when the market goes down but they need to be taking money out, they've usually put aside cash. So now the cash is sitting there earning very small interest rates and it's not invested. So that's a buffer asset, but maybe not the best buffer asset.
Right. And you're talking about the stock market in a way where the philosophy and the general rule of thumb is when the market's down, don't take the money out, let the market come back up.
Right.
So,
right. You don't want to sell stock when it's down because now it can't recover. So there's different buffer assets. There are, there's cash, there's CDs, there's annuities, lots of different things that people use. So a buffer asset technically is something that is not tied to the market, that you can dip into, that it's easily available to get to.
okay.
Another thing that people use is home equity line of credit, HELOCs. The problem there is that if you use a HELOC and you start taking money out, you have to now make payments. Well, if cash flow is an issue, making payments is counterproductive. We'll come back and talk about where the reverse mortgage might come into play in just a minute. But on the chart that we're looking at, let me explain sort of how that works. We're talking about a couple that have $1 million in the market. And this shows 4 different years where the stock market was down. So if they were to take funds out of the market in all 4 of those years, you can see that bottom line that ends at 1995 down at the very bottom of the chart. That's what would have happened. They would have run out of money.
Yeah.
Now what do they do if they're still living? That was 30 years, but still, we're starting to live longer. If they never took money out of the market during those down years, they used a buffer asset, and they could stay fully invested now because they didn't have to have just the cash. It's the line that points straight up out there at 1995.
And that's a considerable amount of money.
Right, we went not from going downhill from $1 million down to nothing, we went up from $1 million to $3.5 million if we could have stayed in the market that long, even though we're drawing funds for our retirement.
That's wonderful. That proves that people can then continue to live their life the way that they're used to living and maybe even take care of themselves if there are ailments or medical needs.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you were saying that we discussed HELOC, home equity line of credit. Now let's compare that to reverse mortgage line of credit.
Right, the big difference there, 2 major differences. One, you're not making monthly mortgage payments. So now, while you take money out, you haven't affected your cash flow. The other thing is the reverse mortgage can come with a growing line of credit. So over time, if you don't need one now, you start with a reverse mortgage that grows, so later in life when maybe you do need it, it's a very big number that may be able to take care of things. Things happen to us, right? We don't plan on them, but they happen. And so now you've got a place to go that doesn't affect your retirement plan, because you had a plan. You worked with your financial advisor perhaps, and you know exactly when that money is probably going to run out. But now you have that line of credit to cover that. That's what I've done myself. We mentioned it on one of the other segments, I bought my house with a reverse mortgage. I've since paid it off so that I have that growing line of credit, because as I mentioned, I'm aiming for a lot of years to go, and so I want to have a backup in addition to my portfolio. And so the reverse mortgage no monthly payment, no monthly mortgage payments. That's a big deal.
With 1 minute left, for anybody out there who might be considering this, or even for the children of parents out there
Sure.
who might be of a certain age, how do they reach out to you? And it's best to probably just sit down and have this conversation with you face to face.
Right. There's a number on the screen. Give that a call. We'll talk. I'll gather some information so I make sure that this looks like a good approach for you. And then I can come sit down at your home and we'll go through a lot of details. And so the reverse mortgage is a learning process. It's different from what you might be used to, especially if you've bought and sold homes half a dozen times. It's different from a regular mortgage. So you need to learn things and understand how it works. So my opinion is anyone over 62 or approaching that should look into a reverse mortgage. They may choose not to do it, but they should at least understand what their choices are.
Wonderful. Tom, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. You're watching 2+U Nevada.